Hello, this is Mr. Smith with the Academic Daily Participation, so just click on Resubmit and the text box will open up and type in the three most significant things from today's lesson. So today we'll be talking about sole proprietorships, or a business that is owned only by one person. And so it's important to remember that this is the simplest of the business organizations. So we'll use things like simple and easy when we talk about this, but please realize that any business that you're setting up is difficult, it's complex, it takes a lot of work and energy. But when we use simple and easy, we're comparing it to the other types of business organizations like partnerships or corporations. So, a sole proprietorship is when there is one business with one person, and the business and the person are one and the same. And so, whatever the person's income is also going to be the income as the business. The taxes of the person are going to be the same as the sole proprietorship, and so on. And also going with that, of course, is the responsibility or the liability is going to be one and the same for the business and the person. So this individual business is going to be incredibly, compared to the other ones, easy to set up, and it's going to be relatively low cost. It's going to be simple because it's just you. There's going to be no corporate business taxes because those only apply specifically to corporations, and a sole proprietorship is not. You're only going to pay your personal income tax. So let's say you have your own job and you make $40,000 a year, and you have this business on the side that you run on the weekends that you make $20,000 from. It means that you're going to have to pay taxes on $60,000 a year, and that's it. There's no special taxes. So your income is the same as the business's. There's going to be no annual reports or filings. You don't have to turn any proof of activities that other bigger businesses might be turning in, for instance, every year to the government or that their accountants need, and not restricted by a formal business structure. And so you don't have to go through the articles of incorporation. You don't have to have some kind of major partnership document. So there's easy recording that goes along with sole proprietorship. And of course, you also have full control. You get to make all the decisions involved in your business. If you want to close early and go home to watch a game on TV, then you can do that if you really want to. And so that is part of one of the biggest perks, is that you make all your decisions. And of course, the biggest perk of all is you keep all the profits. Cons include unlimited personal liability. And so that's a problem. This guy here operating this food truck, if someone gets sick or someone gets hit by his truck or whatever, it's possible that he could lose everything. And unless he has legally his personal assets or they're protected by law and they're shielded, he could end up losing everything in some type of lawsuit or other type of situation where he becomes responsible for losses. And so that's a problem, is you do have unlimited personal liability. And not only that, but when this guy passes away, this business ceases to exist. If someone inherits or buys this truck, then they have to start a new business under their own name. It's difficult to raise money because it's just this one guy. Now, if it was all three of these people that wanted to get involved in the food truck, they might each go to the bank and have an increased chance of getting a loan, for instance. But the one guy, it's going to be less of a chance. And then he can't take on a lot of business debt. And so there's the problem that since he and the business are one and the same, it's kind of just going to be him going to get a loan from the bank. And so getting a lot of personal investment, or not personal investment, but business investment on the side is going to be unlikely because you and the business are one and the same. And so business debt is going to be unlikely. And you might look at that, can't take on business debt. Wow, that's a good thing. You can't have any debt. Well, that also means you can't borrow any money. And not as a business. He basically, even when he's going in and saying this is Bob's food truck, that it's also Bob. It's just Bob going in for a loan. He's not going to get a special loan. And they're going to say, well, you're separate from your bad credit, or you're separate from the fact that you don't have a lot of money on hand. We'll go ahead and give a separate loan to this business. No, it's for you as a person. And it also has an unprofessional perception. It's just one guy. So if you go to hire an employee, they're like, oh, it's just this one guy in a food truck. I don't want to work for that. I want to work for a big operation. And that's part of the problem too. And plus, you're just one business, so advertising is limited, managerial skill is limited, and so on. Sole proprietorships are popular because they're easy to start up. So they make up about 75% of businesses. And this changes. It ranges 70 to 75 or maybe 75 to 80 or somewhere in there. But most of the time, the average, even over the long run, is around 75% of all businesses. So that's 75% of all storefronts and firms and businesses that exist in the United States. But their share of national production is only about 5%. So even though there's a lot of them, they don't necessarily make a lot of goods and services compared to the total volume, and then the worth of those goods and services. Their share is also small. And if you think about it, a lot of the companies that make a lot, either in the quantity of goods or the value of those goods, it's because they can make a lot. They have assembly lines. They have huge factories. But if you're a sole proprietor, you're less likely to have all these. You're more likely to have a food truck or a restaurant or a small merchandise shop or an antique booth at a flea market or something like that. So it's going to be incredibly small, and so it's not really a surprise that their share of natural production is going to be smaller. Sole proprietorships then are more likely to be, now these are the individual businesses, in the marketplace that they exist are more likely to be in the perfect competition or monopolistic competition kind of range. Those are more likely to be sole proprietorships.